let's actually deliver on this hype. Let's bring him in here right now. We got Piotr Duda. He is the CEO and founder of Delta Prime. What is up? How are you doing? Welcome to the show, man. It's great to have you.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Jimmy2times. Hi, Firestorm.
Welcome to the
Hi,
show.
Dexalot community. Great to meet you guys. I'm doing good. I'm here in Poland. We have spring, late spring. Maybe it's not like a summer like Minneapolis, but we are getting there slowly.
That's great, man. That's great.
Yeah.
It's great to have you here, man. And everybody's welcoming you in the chat. It looks like you got a lot of friends in the chat, so that's great too. Hey, well, awesome, man. We're feeling the vibes. And just to start off, since this is your first time on the show, we'd love to kind of get more of like your background, like where you come from in terms of, how you got into crypto and how Delta Prime came to be. We'd love to hear your story, man.
Great. Happy to share it. So who is Piotr? Who is Bara? On Twitter, on Discord, everywhere else. I'm Bara, but we are dogs together, like with Dexalot. We have nothing to hide. So the story begins actually with engineering. I started as an engineer. I even worked in automotive industry. We are doing like some stuff for Tesla, like car parts. But after that, I changed into programming, and I was a programmer for a couple of years in Web2, and I ended up in an insurance technology company. So like more like TradFi kind of stuff, Java, databases, and all of that. And although I liked my job, I saw like how boring that this stuff can be, and on top of that, how difficult is to innovate in this kind of products. Since everything is separated, you have like one insurance like software app here, another there, etc. There is like no common layer to connect all of that, and that's actually what a blockchain is. So I learned about blockchain, especially like the DeFi part, which I'm like a little bit biased to.
Sure.
So DeFi took my interest. Then I joined a Redstone team. I worked on an Oracle, and we were thinking like, how can we use this Oracle, which is a pretty innovative one with on-demand data fetching, like how we can do it to improve the space. And it turned out that there is a lot that can be improved, especially in the lending area. And that's what Delta Prime is about, to improve borrowing, lending, and capital efficiency.
Awesome.
Amazing. Wow. Like obviously Delta Prime is one of the hot protocols in Avalanche of late, right? Before we even talk about your protocol, the first thing I wanted to ask you, and this is an observation, obviously, I think you guys launched January 2023. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So you guys were born in the bear, right? Like I almost want to say the way you've sort of arrived and still succeeded is like, exemplary to all the builders out there, because, during this bear market, during this cycle, more often what I see from people is, oh, nothing is going to work. I've even heard stuff like, oh, crypto is dead, Web3 is dead, from very close friends of mine, right? And, protocols such as Delta Prime that is innovative, that is built by a team that has a very clear vision, very clear capabilities, is quite amazing. And I just wanted to ask you, like, how is that experience, right? Because we've seen a lot of projects get built and raise capital and do all these things during the bull, and not so many brand new stuff that arrive in the market and reach the level of success that you guys had. How's your experience been?
Yeah, definitely 2022 wasn't an easy year, and actually we've got like this kind of comments like throughout all the year, like when everything was falling, like one after one, we were like keep on building. And I think that's what's the most important, like to persevere like with what you're looking for, but on the other hand, like to have strong primitives. Actually, whether I'm building something, like, does it make really sense, and would I use it as myself as a user? Because it's always easy to build some crazy stuff somewhere in the cloud, like but to something that someone will use. I think that's the great check mark for a project. So we focused on that, like to bring as much utility, and yeah, Delta Prime is a project based on integrations. So we kind of connect like different DeFi protocols, like aggregate them, provide more liquidity. So based on the situation, we just focus on different integrations. So for example, during the bear market, GMX, GML, GLP performs amazing. So that's why it was like one of our main integrations. So obviously we had to kind of adhere to the current situation.
Of course. And again, props to you guys, right? When people ask me, is now a good time to build? Is now a good time to think about new stuff? I say, yes, absolutely. Look at some examples. Delta Prime.
Yeah.
Prime example, I would say.
Yeah.
Small play on words.
Actually, I would say that it's even better time because you have like more time to deliver, more time to focus on security, on like basic stuff, like to prepare everything, the infrastructure, like the builders, they're aware of it, but maybe not all of the community. But like every crypto project, like which is even if it's like highly decentralized, has some additional services like around like infrastructure, AWS, for example, just for the UI to like provide better data, better feedback, so you can focus on that and prepare it in the best way possible.
Absolutely. I almost want to say like it's like night and day, right? During the extreme bull, you have anybody and their mothers and their grandmothers and grandmothers coming out of the woodwork asking about airdrop this, token staking that, launching this, launching that. And versus during the bear, you have people that actually want to push the ecosystem or investors coming to you and saying, hey, how about you guys build this? I would use it. Or you have the users who come to you and give you feedback. I actually see, looking at our current audience, I see a good number of names who've been around, who've been giving us very strong feedback, who've been very strong supporters, as well as criticizers of the platform. And I feel like bear, as you said, is the best time to build, right? You have a very limited amount of noise. And typically the people that approach you for partnerships or doing something are there for a specific business objective rather than, oh, let's meet and let's, do stuff, right?
Right.
Anyways, I wanted to ask you the first true question I want to ask you is, where does the name come from? Like, does it have a, because I have my theory. You and I never had this conversation, but I thought about Prime and what it could mean, and we kind of wanted to get the backstory about how you guys decided on this.
Maybe let's start with like what you think, like what's your theory?
My theory? Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I love a good Firestorm theory. So
yes,
let's start there.
Jimmy's the one guy that constantly makes me talk. Please stop me if I get carried too much away. But so in traditional, well, this is just a guess. I don't know if I'm right or not, but in traditional finance, institutional users of traditional finance tools have two options, right? One option is you onboard your own individual services. For example, if you want to trade, you onboard to a trading system. Or if you want credit, you onboard to a credit provider, blah, blah, blah. And obviously over the times, banks and large people with balance sheets came up with a solution called prime brokerage, where you onboard with a prime broker, they provide you the entire services within the financial services ecosystem in a single umbrella, whether it's credit or whether it's trading or whether it's any other service that you need, including hiring, job search. I've even heard of like wealthy prime brokerage clients wanting to buy horses as investments, and prime brokers will go out and source horses, bring them to you, and you analyze it with you and blah blah. It's kind of like a one-stop shop, all services within one umbrella service. And when I first came across Delta Prime, I was like, dude, collateralization is there, ability to trade is there, ability to leverage is there, ability to collateralize multiple different types of assets that I have in my portfolio is there. And that was the natural sort of inclination. But my background is TradFi. I don't know if I'm right or not. I can't quite tell where the Delta piece came from, but that was the theory. So how close am I?
10 points.
I want to know.
10 points out of 10 points. Yeah. You got it. You come from TradFi.
Yes. Okay. So perfectly named then.
the name is a little bit TradFi, and it actually resembles like the prime brokerage services. So we have like a working product in TradFi. The prime brokerage, which includes like more capital, cross margin capabilities, or like doing everything for your for your client. So we want to put this really well working product on chain. So anything we can provide like on chain, like through connecting DeFi protocols, we'll do that. And that's the thing. And Delta, yeah, when someone does trading, I think Delta is pretty familiar. Delta.
Yes.
So
okay. So it comes from the position.
Delta mitigating.
My theory about Delta was, so DeFi, and we always talk about DeFi Legos, right? You know, Avalanche or Ethereum is the base layer. You have GMX, Dexalot, whatever. You have additional services on top. And then something that builds on top of these infrastructure is Delta Prime. So my guess was maybe Delta is the Delta move forward. But, you know, the reason why I didn't say this originally was maybe that's too far out there, because you're one Delta ahead of all the other products that have been launched so far, right?
I mean, like when we came up with Delta, there was like a couple of reasons, and this is like partially a reason, like Delta like having more of something increase, of course.
Of course.
But like honestly, we wanted to have a name which like kind of differentiates us, similar like Dexalot. So we didn't want to have like a name, like a short name that like when someone Googles, there's like 10,000 like different results, but like something that like catches your eye and like you kind of remember that.
Yeah, quite well named. Again, you know, we love these types of stories, and that's why I kind of wanted to ask. Well, I mean, let's dig into it, right? As one of the newer and more innovative protocols, what is Delta Prime? And if you don't mind, I know you guys have a few products. If you don't mind just breaking it down for our audience in the simpler terms, then I'll ask you a little bit more, you know, sophisticated questions.
Yeah, let's start from zero. So we don't know what Delta Prime is. So let's start with lending. So who is a lender? Everyone is a lender. Do you want it or not? You're actually a lender, most probably. If you keep your money in a bank, usually what happens with your money is being lent out to other people. You don't get any profit out of it, or like 0.01% in Poland. It's really funny that they even put like anything on top of that. But like they don't share this revenue. Why? Because we as clients, we are even like not aware, and it's like the market, there's no competition like to bring it to us. So that's what actually DeFi tries to solve. So give people possibility to put their money, to deposit their money, and get some stable yield out of it. And it's like a lot of, let's say, lazy lenders, lazy people, but like smart people, they would like to do it. Okay, I put money in one place, and it stays there, and I can get some yield on top of that. And actually, there were many products that kind of resembled that in 2022. Centralized lenders, centralized crypto loan providers, and we have seen how it ended. So usually the problem lies in the lack of control, centralization, over leveraging. There is no common layer to check what's happening underneath. So you as a depositor, you deposit, you get 10%, but the risk is really, really high, and you are not even aware of the risk because you don't know where does this money go. And then it turned out that like so many lenders were exposed to like free AC like in such big extent, and there was not really like well done credit due diligence. So this is definitely something that DeFi can compete with. Like we have everything on chain, you know the risk, you know there's everything is decided by DAO, like what are the risk measures. And then we come to over collateralized lending protocols that try to solve it. So if we have, for example, Aave compound, so they provide you high level of security as a supplier, but with the caveat of being actually really capital inefficient, because for a borrower, if you want to borrow, you end up with less capital than you started with. So usually when you borrow, you want to have more capital to be used. But that actually affects depositors as well, because whether you're a borrower, whether you are just a depositor, you provide money to the same pools. So we have a lot of TVL, really high pools, but really low pool utilization and really low interest rates. People are not eager to borrow because they have to put more collateral. It's not really efficient way of borrowing. So we have USDC at 1-2%. We have Bitcoin below 1% or below 0.1%, like very often. So it's definitely not attractive. And actually it's being seen as a problem. And there is a lot of discussion, especially like from January 2023, that like many even like crypto oriented people, they start to choose traditional products because they yield more, like government bonds. Like someone believes in the government of USA, they can buy these bonds. So that's the problem, and we want to tackle that because DeFi is a perfect place to improve, to create new financial primitives. So we created a protocol where, as a depositor, you can lend out your money and get the interest rate over it. But as a borrower, you can access more capital than you came up with.
Sure.
So, and this is like, I know the following question, how does it work? But we are at the same time trustless. So you just use MetaMask, you connect with EOA wallet, whether you are a depositor, whether you are a borrower, but we somehow make it secure that as a depositor, you know where the money is going and you are sure that it's going to come back when you need it.
Yeah. I mean, I think there are very important two things that you touched on, and I just want to like echo them one more time and maybe slightly emphasize them. First and foremost, traditional finance, which your favorite regulator will say it's safer, it's better, blah, blah, is built on top of a fractional reserve system. Okay. Let's start there, right? Which means that exactly as you said, when you as a customer put your money in a bank or whatever financial institution, only a fraction of that money needs to be maintained as available, while the rest is being used for whatever other activities that institution is basically taking part in, right? And that's the reason why these bank runs that happen to SVB, to Signature, etc., happen, where they have a total of 10 billion of deposits, but only 500 million of them, or whatever, 1 billion of them are available on hand. And when social media and information percolates so fast, the second you lose trust in the brand, the banks disappear, right? And the reason for this is, the reason for why that trust loss happens is because transparency isn't there, right? People don't really know when they put their money into these banks, they don't know what this money is being used for, where it's being deployed, right? Maybe this is not just Delta Prime. Dexalot is this way, all the other protocols are this way, but this is the most underrated feature of Web3, in my opinion. When you put your money there, the smart contract is available for you to take a look at, and then the chain activity is available for you to understand exactly how your money is being used. And even from a regulator's perspective, regulator can come in and say, this platform does A, B, C, and it's very clear what the rule set is or where the money would be used for. I even envision a future where once the proper regulatory framework is in place, regulators will be able to align the rules that they're applying to the protocols that are building it, because they're going to be one and the same. Rules will be written in English or whatever language. Code will be written in code, Solidity or whatever that may be, right? So in that sense, it's incredibly important. And then the second component of which you talked about is ability to more efficiently utilize your capital. Again, going to the traditional finance experience, the fractional reserve system, where only a small amount of the money is being held, allows these banks, these institutions, to provide credit to the institutions, and through credit, they allow them to lever themselves, right? A very simple example is your average electronic FX broker will allow you to lever your position 5x, 10x, whatever that is. And this is traditional finance. I'm not even talking about crypto. People are like, oh, 10x, 5x, 4.5x, crazy leverage. No, not really. Traditional finance provides this through these institutional rails and through these prime brokerage type solutions. And what we're really saying here is Delta Prime versus traditional finance. It's very close. It's very competitive. And on top of that, you have transparency, non-custodial, and various other benefits on top, right? I almost want to say this is a no-brainer, but obviously it takes time for people to learn it. I kind of want to dig a little bit into the capital efficiency bits. Do you mind just walking through how you guys innovated to achieve that additional level of capital efficiency on top of the traditional under-collateralized lending platforms? Because I think it's important for our audience to hear that as well.
Yeah. So I shortly said that if you're a lender or if you're a borrower in over-collateralized lending platform, you supply capital, more capital. Whoever comes, more capital, more capital. So right now, around 30% of Avalanche liquidity is in the protocols, which smart contracts of lending protocols, which is just residing there. It's not used for anything, just protects depositors. So that's the problem, because 30%, if imagine 30% of
unused money,
money, just sitting somewhere in the reserve bank, that's not the way to go for longer period. That's what we believe it. So we created an architecture, how to have something trustless and under collateralized. Let's just use smart contracts, the basic primitive of a blockchain. So normally what happens, there's a borrower, he puts some collateral and gets back the money from the pool. In our case, we put a smart contract in the middle. And the smart contract is his prime brokerage account, is his prime account, is a dedicated smart contract, escrow account, however you name it. This is the main barrier of protection for the depositors. So if a borrower comes, let's say he comes with 10,000 USDC, he borrows 50,000. And all of that goes to that smart contract. So the smart contract has 60. And right now, so he started with 10, got 50 more, so 5x. But from the smart contract perspective, there is 60 to cover $50,000 of debt. So we have margin, we have $10,000, we are safe. And that's what we all the time we monitor. But obviously, if the tokens were there to stay in the smart contract, it would be even worse than the over-collateralized lending protocol. So that's where the integrations come in. So we integrate Pangolin, we integrate TraderJaw, we integrate Platypus, we integrate GMX, and all that money, or most of it, goes to these protocols. For example, we're GLP, so users can borrow, for example, USDC, mint GLP out of it, and farm it in YieldX. They get the interest rate. The interest rate, it comes from the fees acquired by GLP token, and then they can repay the interest rates to the pools. So that's where our mission is, in what we describe as unlocking liquidity, because we take this liquidity, which will be residing in the smart contracts of over-collateralized lending protocol, we take it and put it back to the system. What does it mean? If we put it to an AMM pool, we decrease the slippage because there is more liquidity. If we put it as AVAX, we protect the safety of Avalanche in some sense, because it's for validation, the node. If we put it to GLP, we decrease the slippage on GMX. And this is just the starting point. Of course, we are using what's there, but if another DeFi primitives come, and as long as we can do it safe, we can liquidate on chain, we can add them to Delta Prime.
I mean, I just want to convert what you said into a very quick journey from an end user's perspective, right? Let's say you're a believer of Avalanche. Just because we're Avalanche native, you guys are Avalanche native, I'll go with the Avalanche example. You have AVAX, right? One option you have is you can just hold it, keep it in your wallet, whatever, right? The best example I think about is there is liquid staking, right? You basically wrap your AVAX into the currently available liquid. There are a couple options now, actually, but the one that's available on your platform, I believe, is SAVAX, right?
Yeah.
If you stake your AVAX and convert it into your SAVAX, you know, under the covers, the Banky platform is going to take that AVAX and delegate those AVAXs to the nodes. So you're getting one yield. Two, you're adding to the security of the platform overall. Step number one, you just got paid on top of your belief in the platform to secure the platform. Then that SAVAX token has monetary value, right? Because in some future time, you can unwrap that as AVAX and get back your AVAX. And if you actually want to make use of that capital, you bring it to a platform like Delta Prime, and Delta Prime gives you credit against that your SAVAX, right? If you wanted to do various different activities, whether you want to long an asset or short an asset, your SAVAX is still worth something, and there's no point for that capital to be locked and be unused. Instead, Delta Prime gives you the ability to still use that capital that's earning interest, kind of like bonds, right? Like imagine SAVAX being sort of a bond. It allows you to use your bond as collateral and do the typical traditional finance activities you would normally do with a bank. The second thing I kind of want to mention, and you touched on this, is that idle money is a really, really bad thing. In fact, I'm going to give a little bit of insight from a big traditional institution. If you, as a trading desk or as a business unit within a large bank, you maintain bank accounts with large sums of money in them, because every business unit has their own bank accounts, you get charged because that money is sitting in that account, and maintaining that money in that account has a cost, and the internal systems will charge you something called funding cost, right? Because unused money is a bad thing, and the entire internal business systems would encourage these business units to always make use of their capital, right? And again, I feel like Delta Prime is one of those protocols where, as you said, it sort of eliminates that dead idle money, and it allows people to put it to different uses they would otherwise do it in a more inefficient way, right? I think that's kind of how I would contextualize this whole platform. So, January 2023, and that's what, 4 months ago, roughly. But quite frankly, in crypto time, that's like 7 years and 27 days, right? And you guys are one of the more innovative and one of the more security-oriented platforms. You guys have more than one type of audit, if I remember, right? Do you mind just giving us a little bit about your approach to security as well? Because that's a question we always get.
So, especially after 2022, I think everyone sees that short-term gains shouldn't be put in front of security. That security is the most important, and DeFi should be a place where actually security is cherished, because we have really good primitives to create secure things. Everything is on chain. Everything is transparent, and this is more like a part of our effort to achieve that. Then in a bull market, everyone goes crazy, deploys before time, and then we get exploits. So obviously, we have lending, we have borrowing, so we need to be top secure in the DeFi ecosystem. So first of all, we have pretty good advisors on that. So one of the founders of Redstone is a former Open Zeppelin auditor, and he constantly reviews our code, and we obviously review it as well. Then we do on top of that audit. So we got right now we are finishing the 5th audit of PackShield. So whatever we come up with new ideas, we got it re-audited. Sometimes from time to time, whole code base is re-audited again, so we know that these changes don't interfere with the main code base of the platform. And soon we will start our bug bounty program as well. And we put additional safety features into our platform. For example, a withdrawal guard. So this is the one that our users didn't like in the beginning, but right now they're happy that it's there.
Sure.
Because we have seen a lot of Oracle attacks, Oracle exploits. So you can prepare for that in multiple ways. But we've seen even attacks that last for hours. So for example, someone manipulates the price of his collateral for an hour. So it's even for an Oracle, it's difficult to detect this kind of attack, because it might be just the current market situation. The Oracle doesn't follow Twitter, whether it's a pump or dump. The Oracle gives the prices. So is there a way to compete with it? Actually, that problem is really big for over-collateralized lending protocol, because if someone can overvaluate the price of his collateral, he can take the money from all the pools, go away. Okay, he's liquidated, but like he doesn't care.
Finance, and we've seen so many of those scenarios, right? Yeah.
Highly profitable.
Yeah. Highly
so in our protocol, because there is a smart contract which is in the custody of borrower's assets, that smart contract can have additional safety features. So one of them is withdrawal guard. So before withdrawing any penny from his account, a borrower has to prove that he has tokens that he borrowed in place. We don't care if his collateral is worth gazillion of dollars of 1 cent. We don't care how much his debt is worth. We care if you borrowed 100 ETH, you must have physically 100 ETH in the moment of withdrawal. So of course, like there was like some resistance, like okay, I have to unwind, etc. But like then the users like seeing the exploits that happen here and there, actually these reasons, they've seen okay, actually this is a really good feature. This is like the last line on defense, really, really strong.
Absolutely. I mean, we all care about decentralization. We all care about complete automated solutions. But when it comes to like your money being safe, I guarantee you, every single person that realizes they're at risk of some exploit, right? No matter how good your code is, this is a brand new piece of technology, right? You're using primitives that you yourself haven't built, and maybe you're not necessarily the expert of. Like, to put it simply, think about Hyper SDK, right? Hyper SDK exists to abstract away the super low-level details of creating a subnet. And it gives you a easier to use tool set to launch a subnet. But do you know exactly how the subnets work? Do you know how the exact algorithm of the consensus works? Maybe not. And it's incredibly important that the appropriate safeguards need to be in place, even if it is initially gives people a trade-off. And in this case, in the example that you mentioned, is withdrawal guards. Like if a withdrawal guard prevents an exploit from doing a lot of damage, like somebody convince me otherwise, everybody's going to thank you, right? If people don't lose their money because you implemented proper controls, who's going to complain? I don't believe it for a second.
Right.
And in fact, I would argue the traditional finance system is where it is, because at this point, security is not even a consideration for the end users, because you have regulations in place, you have internal controls in place, internal audit teams for all the institutions that have built these controls over many years. Yes, at times it becomes inconvenient, right? At times it will prevent you to withdraw your money, but it protects you 100% of the time. So in that sense, I think, like one of our founders said, we engineer things properly, we test them properly, and we release them properly, right? And sometimes it means speed of delivery, and sometimes it means a little bit of the experience when it comes to a bad event. But, this is how industries grow. This is how industries get adopted. So, props to you guys in that regard. Besides security, like what are you looking forward to with respect to more innovation, more utilization, and the general adoption of DeFi?
So from our perspective, especially mine, which I come from Web2 background initially, user experience, like it was said like so many times, during the last months, like in the crypto community, but like not that much changes. Like what's the standard in Web2? In Web3 is like super big innovation. So like the app has to look nice, has to work, has to be like really clear, like what's happening underneath. Actually, really big problem of DeFi. Like we don't know what's happening. Like we see crazy APRs here, there, etc. But like we don't know, am I making money? Am I losing money? So this is like our like DeFi interpreted prime brokerage service to actually show you how much like you are profiting as a borrower. Like what's your performance of this strategy versus another strategy. So we will include like additional strategies, like one-click strategies to make it simple, or like rebalancing. In the long run, I think that this is gonna be a really breakthrough, and really important. We have to get friends with traditional finance. Like I think Firestorm really likes what I'm saying right now, but like there was like a rebellion of DeFi like in the last year, and there was like many like models like they were like checked out like okay, some like inflation models that like someone coming from traditional finance would say okay, that doesn't make any sense, that will not work, that will break. We are checking that as a DeFi community, and they broke. So there is a lot of knowledge that is already there in traditional finance that we could just apply to what we are doing. We could rewrite it on smart contracts, on a decentralized layer, on chain, available for everyone to see, to participate. So I think there's gonna like this uneasy friendship is gonna start soon.
Look, innovation is amazing, but some of these things are common sense. Like some of these experiences that builders have learned in Web 2 through traditional finance, we don't need to suffer the problems to learn those experiences again. Like security is a very good example of this. Capital efficiency is a no-brainer example of this. Like we should take some of those teachings that actually made sense and still make sense, apply them. And then on the custody side and on the transparency side and on the leveling the playing field side, we innovate, right? I feel like, best of both worlds is a better approach to adoption than, no, nothing in traditional finance is going to make sense. We have to innovate it all. But anyways, I know I got carried away quite a bit this episode. Jimmy, I want to give you a little bit
away. You don't do that.
Yeah, when the conversation is good, man.
Hey, yeah, exactly. I mean, that's a thing that we have here. It just keeps going whenever we're having fun. It feels like we've been talking for a couple minutes, and it's actually almost a whole hour. But this has been awesome. Piotr, can I ask you a couple questions before we let you go? Just real quick ones.
Definitely.
First, these are my questions that I have for everybody. As Delta Prime grows, we'd love to have you come back and talk about more of the features that you guys are rolling out. So if we could have you come back, could we get a commitment to come back to In the CLOB one of these days?
Yes, definitely. I would love to. I really like the vibe here.
Before the second question, Jimmy, I just realized I forgot something.
Oh, please.
We love some alpha in this show. Is there any alpha that you would like to drop before you leave, of course?
Alpha.
No pressure.
Not probably like not everyone is aware of that, but stoked integration is coming tomorrow. So this is gonna be the first integration of concentrated liquidity kind of exchange, like when it comes on the liquidity providing side. And this is like kind of like a proof that we can build like much more than the folk spot that we are able. Like last year we were like discussing what we are building with many people. They were like, no, you can't like integrate this and that like all together. And it turns out it's actually not that difficult. So stoked is coming later. Trader Joe liquidity books and Uniswap V3 kind of AMMs. We will integrate them as well. So if someone wants like easy way, can use stoked. If someone likes to be like a market maker himself, these opportunities will come to Delta Prime.
More capital efficiency loading.
Yeah.
We got to give you the alpha horn for that one.
Yes.
Awesome.
Looking forward to it, man.
Awesome, man. And let me get, before I forget. So as you know, you were here hanging out with us in our green room. I play a little bit of music on the show. We bookend the show at the beginning and end with music, and we always get a request from our guest to end the show. So I don't mean to put you on the spot, but if you have a song you want to hear me play, I got the World Wide Web on my laptop. I can get any song you want. And so you can send it to our producer. I know I'm sorry.
The World Wide Web.
Just tell me right now. If you got it right now, I could take it right now. But
I'm gonna check Spotify, like what.
Yeah. Take your time. Take your time.
Yeah.
Exactly what I do every time. Launch Spotify, go to the best playlist, scroll down. Let's see what was the last few things that I listened.
You know how we do it, guys. This is how we do it every week. And hello to all our new friends in the chat. We see a lot of first-time chatters today. King Valancy, what's going on? The Beast Lorian.
I guess we didn't ask, but there were no questions from the. I'm just checking the chat. Looks like there were no. questions.
I think everybody's just vibing today. Everybody was just really excited.
The description from Piotr was so good that
exactly.
Nobody can ask any questions. I didn't ask any questions either. I just made sure I understood all the information that's being given to me. So,
well, we're happy to have all you guys. It's good to see everybody here. I see some familiar faces and some new faces, so it's really cool, man. Welcome everybody who is a first-time viewer. And I do have to say, guys, we do have a Twitter Spaces coming up on Friday. If you're more of the Twitter type of person, and maybe you're watching this and you're not in the chat, maybe you're not logged into Twitch right now and you're just watching from the browser or whatever. If you're more of a Twitter person, we have our monthly wrap-up. Every last Friday of the month, guys, and it's me and Firestorm just running through. It's the Dexalot speed run for the month. So if you're on Twitter and you'd rather hang out with us there, join us every last Friday of the month for our Dexalot monthly wrap-ups. But if you like the Twitch thing, we're here every Tuesday, so you know what it is. Piotr, you look like you got something cooking over there, man. What's going on?
Yes, I sent the song to you, like on
you did
chat.
Oh, perfect.
Yes. And
it's in the private chat. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
let me see what we got here. Producer John, can you procure that for me, please? And I will get that going. But
That's
yes, okay.
Actually, pretty good question from Crypto Kindergarten.
Oh, okay, sure. Let's actually put that on screen for you. Firestorm, I know you might have to dip a little early today.
All good. Well, I'll wait for the Crypto Kindergarten. Like as when I said, good community, good criticizer, and good feedback, and good people.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. That's why we're on Twitch, guys. We got a little Dexalot community over here. So I had one question. What features would you like to implement that are not yet technically possible or feasible?
Okay, so maybe technically it's becoming possible, but we are still not there. So right now, what we connect in Delta Prime is just DeFi protocols, DeFi tokens, ERC20 tokens. But there is a big talk about real world assets. Many wise folks, smart folks, and probably not all of them smart are working on that. So some of the stuff is gonna work. So then once that day comes, we will integrate them to Delta Prime. Of course, there is all this legal stuff around that we have to figure out as well. But that's something that we cannot do right now, but we would love to have in the future.
Awesome. I think Crypto Kindergarten looks pretty excited about that answer. So we got lots of fire and air horn emojis. I'm going to take that as a dub from our guy, Crypto Kindergarten. Well, awesome. This is wow. We've gotten so much information here today, a lot to work with. And we even got a Firestorm theory about the name, and he was right, guys.
Yes.
This guy, you got to listen to this guy. He knows what he's talking about. But Piotr Duda, he is the CEO and founder of Delta Prime. It has been a pleasure talking to you today, man. And we would love to have you come back to the show and hear more about Delta Prime. We're really excited about this project over here, and I think we see a lot of parallels.
Likewise. Was great, guys. Thank you, Jimmy.
Great seeing you, man.
Firestorm. Maybe next time we can talk more about what we are figuring out together. It wasn't alpha yet, but that's I think would be interesting. But there'll be definitely a lot of topics to talk about.
Sounds great. We'll see you again for sure.
Thank you so much. We'll see you again soon, man. Take care.
See you soon. Peace. Bye. Take care.
Bye.